Okay, I want to say it out and I want to say it now. After watching DJ Ola, first and foremost, let me give my flowers to DJ Ola once and for all, right? Um, that was an interesting conversation, very sorrowful, touching experience. And this just goes to show the importance of having platforms such as, podcasts, Digiola podcast, and every other podcast out there who tries and gets issues that normal, or should we say, day to day means of communication have been failing for the past couple of years. That interview and the length at which it was given, I believe it's about an hour, made me realize that, the hatred or some of the hatred or some of the foul language or the backlash that I was getting when I came onto my platform and I said Selmor Mtukudzi was unprofessional. I now know the reason as to why. But here's the thing. Some of it came even before she said anything on DJ Ola. And just to see those girls right there. And these are ladies, not girls, but ladies that are almost my age, right? And to hear the story or the stories that they said, up to now, a lot of people are saying allegations, right? Because the other side says nothing of that sort happened, right? So remember, while there are two sides to any story, we are bound naturally to gravitate towards one, right? That's why even in the court of law now there is this lawyer arguing against this other lawyer, and then eventually there is, in other countries there are juries or jurors, and then in other countries there's a judge who presides over the matter and says, okay, and weighs all the options A and B to see, who's telling the truth. And in this case, I do not believe, I don't have any ounce of within me to think that Selmo and Sandra were lying. I don't have any ounce whatsoever. I was neither paid, or was I, or am I am I a relative of the Mtukudzis or the said daisies? No. But I was merely just giving an opinion from a professional standpoint or a professional point of view. And there were so many reactions on that post that I made, and some of which even pointed to the fact that these girls are going to be speaking at DJ Ola's podcast, and you need to hear their side of the story. And I did listen to that side of the story. And believe you me, it was not the easiest of things to listen to. I am a father of 3 beautiful girls, and I wouldn't want any of them to feel in whichever way anything closer to what those girls experienced. Now, that said, I want to just categorically put it out there and clear this matter once and for all. I empathize, I sympathize with these girls. That was a tough upbringing. It makes me look at the Mtukudzi family or the Mtukudzi brand in a different perspective altogether. We have had situations where artists have been cancelled. We have had situations where popular or stars and popular, people of repute have been cancelled altogether, just by virtue of how they treat other people in the society. And if I think if Oliver Mtukudzi was alive, you would have gotten a lot of backlash towards how his girls are being treated or were being treated. I just don't know for the life of me how he never fought. By the way, that is a painting that I did of Oliver Mtukudzi. Just how I revered the man in terms of music. get me right. His music was and still is one of the best music out there to ever come out of Zimbabwe. I have no doubt in my mind that Oliver Mtukudzi's stuff that he used to sing about came from the heart. And he was trying to address issues that are not only happening in his family, but also in the society that he grew up in and the people that he saw all around him. But I cannot just understand how he failed to just get it right in terms of those girls. I am not 100%, neither is Oliver Mtukudzi 100%, but at least a 90 would have sufficed. An 80, a 70%, you get my drift. Something, nyana, that the girls would be proud of right now, and Daisy at the same time would be proud of, together as a family, they would be proud of. I cannot get for the life of me. And then I also cannot get how somebody, and in this case Daisy, can be so cruel. Like what was said by those girls is cruelty at its highest nature. If those allegations are true, and like I said, I don't have any reason to doubt these girls, these women. Let me not stop calling them girls. I have no doubt in my mind that there is nothing like amiss from their story. But how can Daisy be so cruel to such an extent? I also just don't get. So I was listening to the podcast and I said to myself, this is the typical newspaper story. You remember Kwaedza paya iburitsa nhau dzekuti vanhu vaitoshamisika kuti how does stuff like this happen in our community, in our Zimbabwe, in our Africa? Do you understand? I just don't get it. Right? I really just don't get it. From both ends. Daisy's end, Oliver Mtukudzi's end, right? I still just cannot get it. But what we are left with is this whole information that we now have to, digest and think about in our minds and trying to make sense of it all. Right? Somebody's probably sitting out there and thinking, should I outrightly just not listen to Oliver Mtukudzi? How can you not? How can we not listen to that man's music that spans decades, and it's over 50 albums of just pure greatness? And how can we not listen to these girls say the things that they've said and not feel pity for them, right? But I will say this. I spoke from a professional standpoint. And one of my fellow brothers came to me and said to me, okay, Joe, I understand your professional point. I understand what you're saying about professionalism, but professionalism against what these girls have done or these girls have experienced goes out the window, right? That's why even at work, there is compassionate leave. You get compassionate leave if things are not well and your relative has passed on, whatever, you get some days off. And I agreed to that point. I even answered to him and I said, I 100% agree with you. Professionalism sometimes goes out the window. You are given that leave to say, okay, you cannot perform 100%, right? And I did ask the question as to why we had to force ourselves to go and perform when, we still had emotions and stuff like that. And I listened to the girls, to the women, to the ladies saying, we were ready for the show. We wanted to do the show. We were hyped up for the show. We were ready to rock. But just something. And I believe in my mind, when they said that, my mind was just telling me maybe that was Oliver Mtukudzi trying to make it right, because in their minds and in their body and spirit, they were like, we're going to perform and we're going to rock tonight. We're going to sing our father's favorite tunes and everybody's going to love us. right? And we're going to have a good time because we haven't been on this stage for a very long time. And Oliver was just like, no, you need to, this is the time when it ends. I couldn't do it while I was still alive, but I'm going to do it now. So even the question that I posed in my first, reaction was to say, how can they go for 2 hours without even thinking of going back? Like after 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you could have calmed down and stuff like that. And Ola asked the same thing. Teacher Ola asked the same thing. And they were like, we tried, but it couldn't happen. And in my mind, I kept saying, there is, I think the spirit of Oliver Mtukudzi was saying to these girls, you have suffered enough, and I think it's about time for the world to know your suffering. If I failed it, and if I failed to do anything about it, this is the time when they must know, and this is the time when I must probably work on it, or I don't know. Something just told me, when we've all had those experiences in our lifetimes when certain vibes you can feel, like when you get to a place, certain vibes are directing you to a certain position. And I felt like at that moment when they say that, I just felt like it could have been that Mtukudzi was actually just saying, you know what, girls, I think I owe you an apology, or even if it was not Mtukudzi, something else or someone else, I don't know, any other entity that was just saying, enough is enough, your suffering is enough, even though you've been fighting so hard to get to this point, but it's not going to be right for you to perform and not let the world know what you have been going through. Because believe you me, I don't think nobody knew. Nobody knew to the extent at which we know now what was happening to Sandra and to Selma. I don't think so. I think there are people that knew, right? There were indications here and there, maybe in the blogs and the newspapers, but to the extent at which the girls spoke that day, I don't think anybody knew. And it was just like a slippery slope from the moment they stepped on the stage to the Ola podcast, even up to now, to the reactions from the mother, Daisy, and Samantha, whatever. It was just, going down. And the world would never see Oliver Mtukudzi, his legacy, and his estate, and his wife, and his daughters-in-law, and whatsoever. They would never see it as the same. And I wanted to clear the air, to say I have no hatred for Selma. I have no hatred for anybody in the Mtukudzi family. I'm not affiliated to any one of them. I stand alone in whatever shit I do. I only was reacting, and I felt like it was unprofessional. But maybe, I don't know if the story would have had so much impact if they had gone to any other podcast and said all these things before they went on stage. My mind now was busy racing to say to people, anybody who has something to get off their chest, get it off your chest, because you know what? You might perish or move on to another life, right? Without having to tell people what exactly you have been feeling and what has been going on in your life. I wish this on anybody out there, whoever has any situation in their lives, to just be upfront with it, right? If the world can help you, yes, the world will help you. Go and tell the world. If the world cannot help you, maybe it's a relative or a brother, a sister, or a cousin, or whatever. If they can help you, yes, seek help. Because the number one problem, or the number one health problem we have in the world, is mental health. And imagine having to carry all of this burden, these women carrying this burden for this long, up to an extent where we think a professional musician and performer, singer, songwriter, goes on stage and breaks down. That is one heavy weight to carry, no matter who you might be. And I get that. I got that through the message and through everything that they spoke about on DJ Ola, which I'm not going to repeat, obviously. It's very long and it's a long story. But I'm just saying your mental health and mental well-being, especially for Selma and Samantha, those girls, it was important that they bring it out. And I wish they had brought it out before they even went on to any other stage. You know what I mean? I wish the world had known. And to people who have platforms, like they have a huge number of followers, they are well known, they can go anywhere and speak about it and be heard. I feel like we need to encourage more people to come out, which reminds me of a podcast episode that I watched of Club Shay Shay and Cat Williams, in which he said, 2024, all of the BS in the world, all of the people that are doing wrong, all of the things that are going on with the world are going to be exposed. It doesn't matter who you are. We see now in America, Puff Daddy. We've seen prior to this, and even as time goes on and develops within this case, Yaka Puff Daddy, we can see that there will be other names that will come out, and it's going to be just so bad for them, but good for the world, because sometimes we live in this assumption that everything is okay, especially if you have money, if you have popularity, and if people worship you in some way or the other. And I feel like our mental well-being is also being taken for granted by these individuals that have power, because they influence what we listen to, what we see, and what we read, right? But they're taking us for granted. In actual fact, they are just, not to use the F word, but they're just fucking us up, right? So our mental well-being is being taken for a ride. And I feel like it was a good thing that they came out, but they came out too long, too late. Not too late, but they waited for too long to just have their story being told out there. A book would have sufficed. A story would have sufficed. A podcast, well, within, would have sufficed. Anything. A radio interview, a TV interview, a documentary, whatsoever would have sufficed. Let them tell the whole world about Oliver Mtukudzi. And I feel they have that platform. They are the descendants of this great individual that we love so much. But I just don't know how I'm going to feel. How I feel even now when I play Manduana Kushiba Matikura or Shanda Mwana and stuff like that. All of those things will just be at the back of my head. It's just the same thing as when I listen to R. Kelly, right? It's just the same thing. Well, I never liked Puff Daddy anyway. And his music always was not the kind of music that I would vibe to. But anyway, his music now is dead to me, right? And it's the same thing. And I just feel like he chose the wrong type of diplomacy when it came to his children. That's Oliver Mtukudzi. His silent diplomacy doesn't cut it at all. Listen, if you're out there and you've got something to say, that's on your chest, that's in your mind, free yourself from the burden of life, having to carry it around, having to go. I mean, imagine all the shows that Selma has done in her life. Imagine how many shows they've arranged together with Samantha, and to carry all of that weight around is not good. Wherever they are right now, they are lightheaded, they're feeling much better, and the world is with them, showing sympathy and coming to their aid in whichever way. And I believe that's what we are there to do as a community, as a people. I have so much love for them. I have so much love for Selma. I have so much love for Samantha. I have so much love for Zimbabwean music. When I spoke about professionalism. I didn't know the entire story. Until I heard it, I have reasons to believe they should have not even tried to get on a plane to come to that festival. They should have just spoken about it somewhere else. But yes, I guess they tried in their way, just as they had always been trying in their lives to coexist. But this time, whatever was happening within the realm of the spirit told them or restricted them from performing. And now we know. We should have known way back. Now we know. And it's a good thing. So I want to say all the best to you, Selma. All the best to the Mtukudzi family. Right? I wish every family has a problem. That's the other thing. Every family has a problem. I'm from a Maramba family. We have our own issues, our own problems, our own politics, right? And I wish every family for the best. I seriously do. I wish all the family, any family, all the best. Because in this world, what we have is you and me. That's all we have. We don't have all of these luxuries, all of these things on social media and whatever. These are non-existent. If you take out all of these other things, even the people that you work with, and if you go to your home, that's all you've got. That WhatsApp group for your family, that's all you've got. Right? That phone call to your mother, to your father, or to your cousin, to your brother, that's all we've got. Family. And I wish our families can be united. I wish people can realize that, you know what, it's not worth it to have this animosity to feed someone, from the same plate as a dog. I know white people love their dogs and their pets to that extent, but they don't even eat with them. That is just wrong, plain wrong. And I don't know if we have some sort of law that can revisit some of the things that have happened, or stuff that has happened between these women, and I mean Daisy, that side, and Selmor, that side, with her sister. I don't know if there's a law in which we can outrightly make this right, because I believe something has to be done. And oh my word, the way Samantha looks exactly like Oliver Mtukudzi, the way she sits, her posture, her demeanor, her complexion, her dances, just made me just felt, I almost shed a tear. In fact, I did shed a tear. Don't want to lie. It was just too much to handle. But I want to say big ups to everybody who's trying to push the story of the Zimbabwean people, the story of African people, including DJ Ola in the podcast. Let it not stop there. Let's go far and beyond and talk about what we as a nation, as a people, are outrightly crying for. The injustices or the sad and vulnerable moments that we have experienced as a country, as a continent, as a people. Let it be exposed and let there be healing, because without it, I don't think we can ever move on. Right now, believe you me, even if it's underneath or underground or whatever, I think there is movement within the Mtukudzi legacy, the Mtukudzi family. I guarantee you, not guarantee, but I want to guarantee with the faith that I have in my heart that one day we're going to find a level-headedness within the family. We're going to find a place where these two parties, right, Daisy that side and family, Selmor that side, will come together, and it will be a brilliant time. It will make headlines once again, and everybody will be happy. And I believe this must be done for each and every part of our economy, our politics, our social standing, and our social way of life. And we can just find a common ground in which way we can live happily ever after. The world is just too heavy. It's just too much shit going on in the world, right? Some of which we thought it was the world. We thought Hollywood was it. We thought everybody has to go and has to experience this thing called Hollywood. It is not it. It feels like the more stories come out of that place, the more I want to quickly stay away from it and be just confined to what we have, our fauna and flora, and the beautiful landscapes of Zimbabwe, South Africa, Angola, Uganda, you name it. We stay right here and we find a way to move forward right here. So, yeah, I hope everybody has learned a lesson or two from this. I certainly have. And in future, I wish we can all just come together and be better people, right? Stories such as Oliver Mtukudzi, James Chimombe, John Chibadura, Leonard Chakata, Thomas Mafumo, Biggie Tembo, Bundu Boys, you name it. These are stories that make us as Zimbabweans first, and as Africans first, and Zimbabweans second. So we need to embrace them. We need to have more and more of these stories. So whichever platform you choose to air your story, let it be out there, because the world is waiting. The more we pretend as if we don't have these stories and we don't have lessons to teach to the entire world, the more they just think, oh, okay, they are just a boring, uninteresting, and never without anything to contribute to the world kind of people, right? But we certainly know we have so much to contribute. So I want to thank you to everybody who commented on my first reaction, good or bad. Vakatuka nezvinyadzi, vakataura zvinotoshamisira chaizvo zvekuti ndakatoti vanhu vanototuka zvekudai. I used to see that on other people. I used to see that on other people's posts, and I would be like, and I would laugh. But now imagine you create something or you react to something and then you just get blunt reactions. Guys, I learned one thing the very first time I stepped into a journalism class, that there is no such thing as bad publicity. All of it is publicity. And I don't mean it to undermine and to demean anybody who said whatever they wanted to say on my my platform. But you are bound to get any positive and negative reactions in anything that you do, even in your own family. Let's go to the park. Somebody will be like, one kid will be like, I want to be on my Game Boy or whatever, and then the other one wants. There's always positive and negative, and that's what makes the world go around, right? Positive and negative attract. So yeah, thank you once again, and to Selma and to Samantha, be strong. Be strong. You have been strong for a long time, but this is the time to be even stronger, right? Grab that brand, that Mtukudzi brand, and move with it, right? The old has passed, right? I heard and I read some comments saying, they should be promoted even to have their own place where people can celebrate Oliver Mtukudzi and stuff like that. I, as much as I agree, but it wouldn't be as good as I feel it should be. We have some people are going that direction to go and celebrate Oliver Mtukudzi, and then the others are going that direction to go and celebrate Oliver Mtukudzi. The division would just be too much. But I have it in my heart of hearts to feel and to think that this family is going to be all right. Right now, this huge explosion has gone off. But after the thunder, the lightning, and the storms and stuff like that, comes the sun, comes the rainbow, and comes the calmness. And then when the calmness enters, we will see all things in a different perspective and light. Have a great day. Be kind, and I'll see you later.